Um, all right, I'm gonna invite up Sash, the founder of Elacity. Is it like is it my am I pronouncing that
Hey,
correctly?
hey, yeah, Elacity. I guess there's no correct way. It could be Elacity or
Yeah,
Elacity, but generally, yeah, it's an Elastos city.
that's great. I always find out sometimes I have a different pronunciation, especially for like token names than other people do, because how this is we're not always vocally interacting. Um, yeah, so. I guess I'll let you kind of take it to introduce the NFT marketplace a little bit and talk about what you're building using Elastos.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. I've been involved with the Elastos space for around 5 years now, and I started as a community member with a background primarily in the creative industries and some development. But as time went on, I just wanted to get more and more involved. And as a community project, you're consistently inspired by those around you, and it's meeting individuals like the speakers we have on today and also Elk Finance, which really pushes the vision forward. Because for Elacity, our goal really is to unlock internet capitalism. So Rong Chen spoke a little bit about that, in that we need to enable individuals anywhere around the world to participate in the digital economy. We just don't have that today. We've got big tech cartels who hold our data, and when we purchase, say, a movie or a video on iTunes, do you really own it? Can you take it somewhere else, and can you monetize it? And we just don't have that. In the same way, Silicon Valley as a whole would be nothing without your data today. So it's easy for us to forget that we don't have value, but actually our data is our economic value. And actually, when we're online, we're consistently creating digital assets, which are assets for someone. And especially when we think about new technologies like AI, which is starting to emerge. So Elasty is a Web5 cloud city and a data exchange. Today, it's essentially a fork of OpenSea where you can trade NFTs. Elk is a currency that we allow today, so you're able to mint NFTs. You can use Elk Bridge to come across the Elastos Smart Chain. You can mint NFTs, and then you can list and trade them with either fixed sale or auction, or creating offers using Elk and other assets we have available. We call ourselves a Web5 based on what Jack Dorsey came out recently, primarily because I think for now, they're going to, as far as the Bitcoin community, are going to really run with this narrative. And Web5, on their terms, would be the combination of DIDs and verifiable credentials. And that's a really important part of Web3, really. I think it will slowly over time revert back. But what we need to do is to enable individuals to become self-sovereign, to be able to have an identity that isn't a centralized login. And then underneath a digital identifier, a DID, you have your data vault, so a place in which you can store your data. You have your verifiable credentials, which are issued by third parties. For instance, you could get social credentials by signing into social accounts using your DID. In the bigger picture, you could get a credential from a government to say that you are a passport holder of this specific country, a driver's license. But what it's really trying to do is to build up reputation and trust around your self-sovereign identity. So now, as an independent individual on the internet, whoever you interact with can basically form some trust around you. So with those two concepts on and your digital vault, it's then, okay, well, now how can we turn data into something which we can hold in our digital data vaults? And then how can we allow us to transact and trade that data? So Elasty at its core is a protocol. It's a very transparent one, in that we take a 2% fee for every transaction that happens on our protocol. But rather than a Web2 business model where you get a centralized login and you all create data in this centralized node, and the company usually will collect that data and sell it to an advertisers to survive. We flip the model on the head and say, well, no, our job is to equip you with all the right tools so you can be completely independent online. You can have your own identity, you can build up your own reputation, and you have a data vault which you can build assets on. And then you can come to our protocol, and there will be others as well in the big picture. But you would choose to come to Elacity to trade with others. And the business model to keep us surviving is you pay a small toll fee for every transaction you do on our protocol. But the idea is we're using open standards and open ecosystems, so you are consistently in control. And really, this is what technology is all about. It's about allowing you as an individual to become more and more independent. And you think about technologies we've had over the history, they've usually had a really positive impact on our lives, and they've liberated us and allowed us to do more as a result. So I think as a business generally, you're consistently looking to cut operational costs and increase efficiency. So in today's world, especially if we look at the monetary system and how inflation is making everything more expensive, businesses need to find ways to become more efficient, but also to cut costs. So when you've got new technologies like AI, robotics, and automation coming in, it's natural that new companies increasingly are going to try to adopt these technologies to cut down operational costs. But what that really suggests is that humans as general are becoming more and more of a liability in their workspaces. And it presents these new issues of, well, if we're increasingly going to be losing our jobs, but if we're consistently an asset online based on the data we produce doing everyday things, be it social media or the music and the kind of creativity we unlock and we put on publish, we need to have control of that data, and we need to now start really participating increasingly more in the digital economy. So we're really aligned with Ron's vision, really aligned with what Elastos stands for. And the big picture right now is that whilst we can enable NFTs to be traded, and the images, in this case the art, will be stored in IPFS, what we really strive for is to turn data into code. So now NFTs represents receipts of ownership, but rather we're trading code with each other. And if I buy the NFT, the receipt of ownership, and then I get the code rather than, say, a WAV file or an MP3, I now have to run that program. And when I run it, it checks against the blockchain. It sees that I have the NFT of ownership, and it unlocks the media for me to enjoy. And that's when we're now really moving into what the new internet looks like. And you might have the same copy of that program on your hard drive, but when you go to open it, it checks against the blockchain and says you're not allowed access to this anymore. And so you're just taking up hard drive space. And when we start to introduce scarcity into the mix, we start to introduce value. And this is what Elacity strives to be. So we're a Web3/5 city, where we hope to equip you with the right tools to have complete self-sovereignty. And then we provide a hub in which you can trade data, but we can also build up other kind of applications on top. And today you can download Web3 Essentials, which is the Elastos super wallet. When you download it, the first thing you get is a generated DID. And whilst you can use MetaMask and everything we have today on Elacity, you can experience what it's like to actually log in with a DID, to then check your data vault, and you can create your profile on your DID on the wallet. So for me, it would be Sash, and I'd put my description and an icon, and then I can share that from my data vault with the Elacity protocol. So you're not now putting data onto a central server, but rather you're allowing access to your data vault, which is fully in your control with your seed phrases. And we've kind of set the foundation now with this, and we're moving into actual data minting onto data vaults. And just the journey as a whole continues to get more exciting. And as I say, we're continuously inspired. So it's an absolute pleasure to be here and talk a little bit about Elacity.
Yeah, thanks, and thanks for being here. I appreciate all of that information and kind of what makes it different with the the DIDs and data storage and kind of like operating with permission. Is definitely something scarcity in terms of modern, I guess, Web3 applications. Given